Don't play the music. Don't start the time. Where's the clicker? Somebody bring me a clicker. There you go. My man, thank you so much. Give it up one more time for the founder of Shazam. We all work together. They start the timer. I just got the fucking thing. All right, so raise your hands if you have no fucking idea who I am. Be proud and raise your hands. Oh my God. All right, that's the amount of humble pie shot I need to be energized. There's still a lot of work to be done. You guys don't fucking know who I am. All right, so very briefly, my name is Steli Efti. I'm originally from Greece, but I grew up in Germany. So I have the best that the European culture has to offer, the two opposite ends of what Europe can do for you. I'm a Greek Swabian, so I'm an oxymoron. All right, so I've done a bunch of businesses. Doesn't really fucking matter to you guys, but I deeply care about sales, and I'll tell you a thing or two about it. But first of all, I think that appreciation is the currency you pay the universe with, so I want to say thank you to the organizers to putting this amazing thing together and to inviting me for the third fucking time. I'm part of the inventory now. And then I thought about it, like, why am I coming here? What's the whole purpose of giving a talk or giving a speech if you don't fucking change the world with it? Why even show up? And I know this sounds a little, a little crazy. How could a talk or keynote change the fucking world? I'll tell you, the cool thing about changing the world is that you don't have to change everybody at once. You just have to change one fucking human being. And that's my goal for this talk. Just change one person and we change the fucking world. All right, let's see if we're gonna get that done. But before I get to that, let's talk about last year's festival and some of the unusual sales stories that I want to share with you and lives that changed, one of them being mine. This was the audience, my audience for last year's talk. And in the middle, you see a handsome guy. He and his girlfriend are here and they're smiling. And I'll zoom in for you. The green glasses, that guy, Alberto, stand up. That's Alberto. Say hi to everybody. So I've been here 3 years. Every year I tell people I'm hiring. If you want a job, come to me. And there's always a huge amount of people that come to me and say, I want a job with you. And then I always tell them the same thing. Sure, follow up with me. I'm drunk right now. I'm at the after party. I don't know what your name is. Just get back to me later. And they almost never do. Once in a while, somebody will send one email very apologetically. I'm sorry that I bother you again, but really like to work for you. And then I really want to answer, but I kind of get busy. I'm at a different conference again, and it takes a little while for me to catch up and reply. By the time I replied, the relationship is over. Not so this guy. This guy was here, and he was hunting me everywhere I was. He was like there with his green glasses. He's like, Steli, how can we make this work? At the after party, remember him. He's like, Steli, what can I do for you? And he looks at me, he's like, I can teach you how to be fit. We can work out together. Let me do something for you. And he was sending me emails, and he was calling us, and he was fucking hustling his ass off. And now he's part of the Close-Off family. He's been working with us for 6 months, and has been an amazing asset to the company. Give it up for one of your own. If one of you people wants to work for me, go and talk to Alberto. All right, one of my next nice stories of changing the world through this conference. This was one of my favorite emails that I received after this conference last year. And I'm going to read you just the highlights. This is somebody sending me a 6-month anniversary greetings from Graz. And he's like, you know what, Steli, I was at your talk last year, and I was so pumped up and so excited that afterwards, as I was walking home, there was this beautiful lady. And usually I would never talk to her. But then I thought, fuck it, let's do something. And I went and talked to her, and now we're together. This was at the 6-month anniversary point. Are they here today? Are you guys here today? Stand up if you are. There they are. There they are. Woo! Look at how cute they are. So you guys owe me drinks, and your firstborn son can be named Steli. No, I'm just fucking with you. Don't call him Steli, please. All right, so these are 2 unusual sales stories, and I'll tell you why, and I'll tell you what I want you to sell you today. My talk sales isn't everything, but everything is sales. Here's the truth about selling. Nobody wants to fucking be in sales. Nobody ever grows up thinking, I want to be a salesperson when I grow up. Don't have too big of a dream, little Johnny. Nobody wants to be in sales, but everyone is. All of you people. Because there's a simple truth. If you're a human fucking being, you are in sales. You are. It doesn't matter if you're a marketing director, student. It doesn't matter if you're a professor. You're always selling. You have to sell something. Because sales at its core is nothing else than communicating with an end goal in mind and being responsible and taking ownership over that end goal. It doesn't matter. You're a marketing person. You want to pitch a campaign. What is a pitch of a campaign? It's selling somebody to buy into your idea. Oh, I'm not a salesperson, Steli. I'm an author. Have you ever thought about why it's called best-selling author and not best-writing author? Right? The way you change the world is not through ideas alone. It's not through creativity. It's not through coming up with shit. It's through convincing other humans to take action. It's through taking action yourself. That's why I love sales. But just to be honest with you, I don't want to be in sales either. It just has a bad branding. It just used to suck. People call me the sales guru of Silicon Valley, and I go, ugh. But I've learned to accept that it's a powerful thing. It's a human thing. So if you start understanding that everything you do in your day and everything you do in your career, if you learn to embrace sales and if you learn to look at it as a way of selling others of your ideas, selling yourself of your ideas, making things happen through taking action, you're going to have a lot more success and you're going to make the world a better place. As I said, sales really is nothing else than communicating with an end result in mind, being result-driven in your communication. That really translates in love. It translates when you're trying to get a job. It translates when you're, when you're trying to teach your kids something, you need to sell them, and they are selling you all the fucking time on their ideas on why one more chocolate piece won't harm, and make them love you a lot more. And since everything we do really in its core has a sales component, even if you're a fucking researcher, you're like, I'm a researcher, what the fuck do I have to do with sales? Well, how about your papers being published? Who does that? Is there some kind of a process you have to go through? Is there some kind of a theme you need your research to look like so people like it and publish it? You're always selling in one way or another. So if you are, you might as well get good at it. I know you guys don't like it. You guys are like, well, not me. I'm a marketing student, and I'm going to be a chief marketing officer one day. And that's awesome. I'm a CEO. Who gives a fuck? I still am selling all day long. At the end of the day, I need to convince people to take action. I need to convert things, not just start things, not just talk about things. As a human being, I'm responsible to make the world a better place by converting ideas, converting discussions, converting potential value into realized value. And the only way I can do that is through communication in a result-driven fashion. So, better get used to the thought that you're all in sales in one way or another every single day. And if you are, get good at it. Read a book. Think about it. What am I selling today? Who's selling me? And what? Right? Start thinking about life that way. And I know it sucks and it's a little scary because here's the thing that people hate about sales. It is uncomfortable. You know why? Because you have to put yourself out there. It's one thing to go, this is my idea. And it's another thing to go, this is my idea. Do you want to do it? Are you going to buy it? Are you going to publish it? That's scary. That will invite rejection. People will say, no, I don't like it. You stink. I need to go. Whatever, and that will not feel good. That's why we don't like to sell. We just like to propose ideas. But the world isn't getting better through proposing ideas. So, now some of you might think, well, that's all good, but I'm not a salesperson. Let me introduce you to my favorite salesperson, Patrick McKenzie. No human on this planet acts, walks, and talks less like a salesperson than Patrick. Patrick speaks in many, many conferences. He's an engineer. He's the uber alpha geek. I've seen him around the world at conferences. He always looks like he just woke up in his clothes. Walking into the conference, the hair is a fucking mess. He's always wearing the same fucking thing. I don't think he ever wears anything else. He just sleeps and walks and talks in it. He's super geeky. He's not social. He's not charismatic. He's not loud, right, like me. But he's an amazing salesperson. Why? Because he realized as he was building businesses that eventually he needs to master sales if he wants to be successful. And he does it in really funny ways sometimes. Here's my favorite Patrick McKenzie sales story. So I got this tweet, and I didn't actually know what it meant, other than I'm Chuck Norris of sales or something. But here's the deal. So Patrick is starting a new business. He's flying. He's living in Japan, in Tokyo, by the way. Kay, we should know him. He's really awesome. There you go. So Patrick lives in Japan. He comes to Silicon Valley to pitch this big CEO on his new technology product. And he talks with him about all the technical intricacies and how everything works in the database and all that shit for like 3 hours, and they really geek out on it. At the end, Patrick looks at the CEO and goes, well, do you know Steli Efti? And that CEO goes, yeah, I know Steli. Steli's cool. He's like, so if Steli Efti was here today, if he was sitting here, he would not allow me to leave without asking you if you're going to buy. And that CEO is like, that's so weird of you to say. This is nothing like you, Patrick. And he goes, well, yes, that's why I said if Steli was here, he would say, are you going to buy? To which the CEO said, oh, fuck it, yeah, we'll buy. Right? So if you at any point think, oh, this is not for me, I'm not a born salesperson, I'm not from Greece, whatever, right? This is not really my thing. It's not a fucking excuse. Get over yourself, right? In worst case, you can start using me as an excuse. Just say, do you know Steli? You don't know him, doesn't matter. If he sat here, he would tell you to shut the fuck up and buy my product, right? And it's just blame me. All right, so I'm going to go through 4 simple steps that all of you can incorporate to start selling more effectively whatever you do in life. First step is very simple, but it is the most important one, is you have to start by selling yourself. If you're not sold, you can't sell anyone. You know how I know when somebody's not sold? They come to me as a salesperson, they go, everybody says the price is too expensive. My first question is, when was the last time you bought something expensive? I never buy expensive things. Well, then you can't sell expensive things, right? If you're not convinced of something, you're not going to be able to convince somebody else. You already bought the idea that it's too expensive yourself, but you just pick up the phone, you call them, and now you have them convince you that that thought was right. It's too expensive. You need to sell yourself first. Every morning when you look in the mirror, you're selling yourself a story. You're selling yourself something, a belief, a thought. Be careful what you're selling yourself. And make sure that if you want to convince others, check yourself before you write yourself. Make sure you convince yourself first. And if not, find a way to sell yourself, because you're never going to be effective to get other people on your side when you truly have doubts about it. Step 2, once you're sold yourself, now show the fuck up and sell others. Pitch, show up, go at the after party and bother somebody. Send an email, send a follow-up email, say hi. By the way, for the next 2 days, let's take an example of this charming, good-looking, and amazing couple. If you see another human being that you're curious about, either in a sexual way or non-sexually, how about going and saying hi? Say, hi, Steli said I should say hi. That's it. That's the excuse. Hey, Steli Efti said I should come and say hi. Let's see if we can create some 15 seconds babies here. All right. But you need to show up in life, you need to take a risk, and you need to pitch. And once you do, you need to follow up and follow through. This is where fortunes are being made. This is where you compete with nobody else. Some people know how to show up, shake hands, make a phone call, say hi, try to make a first pitch, but 99% of people never again follow up and follow through. If you do that, and if you take responsibility for the relationship, you're going to change the world. And then step number 4 is just go for the close. Ask the question that is a clarifier. Create a moment of truth. Are you going to buy? Are you going to publish our story? Are you going to hire me? What would it take for you to hire me? What do I need? What do we still have to do to make that relationship work? Ask the scary questions, the questions that would clarify if this relationship will go somewhere or not, if this thing is going to happen or not. Don't just dance around on it. Very, very simple. Sell yourself, show up, follow up, and go for the close. And now I know that some of you might think, well, that's all great. We talked about all these people, selling themselves in a job or selling themselves to the opposite sex and getting into a relationship or even being a super geeky engineer and selling. But what has been the biggest success of your career? How are you selling? And people ask me that question. I don't like to talk about that because it's irrelevant. But what I'm going to share with you is the story of when I was sold. The most powerful salesperson interaction that I've ever had, and it's been 15 years. And I've told this story to tens of thousands of people 15 years later. So here's the deal. 15 years ago, I'm a young fuck. I started making some really good money as an entrepreneur, and I, for the first time, have enough money to really buy expensive clothes. So I'm like, okay, I hate shopping. So I go, all right, I'm gonna go and buy a really fucking expensive suit, really expensive tie, and I'm gonna feel like fucking money, right? I'm gonna feel amazing. So I go into the store, but because I hate shopping, the moment I go in, there's this slick older gentleman, bold, looks immaculate, looks amazing, and he looks at me, instant eye contact, and I instantly go, no. I'm just looking. Don't talk to me. I'm being the typical man. I'm like, I don't want to have to be sold or interact about. He could ask me a question. What's your size? I don't fucking know. I never go shopping. So I walk around and I do my thing, and he picks up on, he's so good, so smooth. I do something, I make a mistake, and we slip into a conversation. He starts chatting me up and giving me these facts, and he advises me, and we chat, and we laugh. And 30 minutes later, I'm at the counter, and I have this huge pile of fucking clothes. And he rings everything up, and at the end, it says, I don't know, 2,000, 3,000 euros or something like that. And I'm okay, I'm satisfied. I'm like, this is a lot of fucking money. I must be successful. This was a successful shopping trip. All right, cool. And I reach into my pocket, and there's a line behind me, and I'm like proud not to pay all this money, and I don't have my wallet. And I start breaking a sweat. I'm like, oh shit. And now I don't have any self-esteem. I'm this like 19-year-old like immigrant kid with gel in my fucking hair and 2 earrings, and I'm like, all these people will think, and there's all like older, mid-age, German crowd behind me, and I'm like, oh, these people are gonna think I don't have enough money. And I start sweating, feel really horrible about it, and I go, oh shit, I forgot my wallet, I'm so sorry. I'm gonna drive home, and I'm gonna come back and buy this. And he's like, no, you're not. And I go, ooh, shit, this sucks. I will never shop again. And he's like, no, you're not. And he packs everything up, and he goes, these are your clothes. You take them with you, and whenever you have a chance in the next week, you come back and you pay. And I was like, really? And like slowly walk back. It was like looking at cameras, opening the door, going through it. I'm like, am I being arrested? No. Okay. You sure about this? All right. And I'm telling you what I did next. I went back to my car. I had like 3 appointments in the afternoon. I canceled all my fucking appointments. I drove straight home and not to the office. I picked up my fucking wallet. I went straight back there and I paid. And here's what happened after that. Every month I went to the same store and I spent thousands of euros with this guy. Thousands and thousands of euros. And I'll tell you what I would have done if he had let me go and take my money. I would have never returned to this place, ever again. Probably never would have had a tie or a nice shirt in my life because I was so embarrassed. And this is really the truth about sales and the way you treat and the way you communicate with humans. I don't fucking remember what I bought. I don't know. Was it a tie? What color was it? I don't remember any of the brand. I don't know what store name it was. But I remember how it made me feel. I will never forget that. I will never forget that. And 15 years later, I still speak about this again and again and again. And thousands of people have been inspired by this story. So, at the end of the day, when it comes to humans, we may not like it. We may give each other titles that seem to protect each other from it. But at the end of the day, every single day, you're selling yourself something. You're selling somebody else something, and you're being sold. So if that happens, make sure to make it worth it. Thank you so much.
Steli Efti. And now it's time for the fucking Q&A.
Yeah!
Are there any questions to the Chuck Norris of sales?
Who got some questions?
Da, hier vorne
I
links
know
sind
this.
einige Fragen. Da grasen wir mal
This
hier.
is my favorite 15-second question asker over there.
Hi, Steli.
Hey.
I've actually got a question regarding your company.
Yes.
What
We're
would you-
hiring.
Yeah, we're crying. No, actually, what would you do differently if you have the chance to create your business again? And my second question is, what are the big three tips that you can give to someone who want to set up a business?
All right, so you have a lot of questions, young man. I like it. So I don't know. I mean, it's a great question, but the things I would change, the closeout was a result of a lot of companies where I fucked up. So it was the accumulation of doing things differently, and that's why it's much more successful. We could talk for hours, but I'd be more interested to hear your story to know what kind of advice is relevant for you. But the point is not what particular thing would I change, other than that if every year you don't look back at what happened and what you were thinking and who you were 12 months ago, and you don't think you were a fucking idiot, you have not learned enough. Right? So that's my measuring stick. If I think back of last year, what I thought and what I did, and I think everything was brilliant, I didn't learn anything this year. So as long as you measure yourself against yourself on that timeline, you're always going to progress and improve, and you're going to ultimately go where you need to go. And the tips and everything, let's talk about that afterwards. Okay. So we get some more questions in. Thank you so much. Hey, Hazal.
Hi.
Very high.
I'm so thankful for this empowering presentation. Like, I'm really impressed. And you managed to empower me again and motivate me to step out of my comfort zone. And that's what you taught me last year. And you literally changed my life. Today I'm known to be the person who asks the most questions, be it at when I'm with my friends or at the university or wherever I go. I love asking questions, and I used to hate it. I used to hate speaking in public, and I really want to thank you for that.
Thank you.
And my question today is, sometimes you have to step out of your comfort zone, but there's still resistance sometimes. I still don't like doing it. Like, I'm in sales as well, and I hate asking people for money. Like, even if it's €2, I don't like it. And I wanted to ask you whether you have tips on how to actually like something that you dislike.
All right, so that's a great question. Thank you so much. So how do you get outside your comfort zone? My number one tip on this is you don't have to like it. Don't even try for it, because if you like it, by definition, it's not part of anything that's outside your comfort zone anymore. So I don't try to, there's many things I don't like doing, and I do them every day, and that's what I try to focus on. I try to learn and master the art of going, I don't want to do, and then still doing it. Because there's always going to be something in life you need to do that you don't feel like it. I don't know how to reprogram myself so I like everything. Right? I will always not like something. The valuable skill is not learning to like it. The valuable skill is learning to act despite not wanting to. If you can train that in a small way, you build a muscle and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. I didn't have a presentation this morning, and I didn't feel like making one. I really didn't. But I had to tell myself to shut the fuck up and suck it up and do it now. And I wanted to go to Facebook and my email and do some other things. And I had to force myself to get over myself. And that's really the valuable thing. So if you don't like it, see it as an opportunity to train that skill, because that skill pays.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Ich würde auch gern Fragen außerhalb des Steli Efti Fanblogs ermöglichen. No. So let's try the other.
Only over there. There's no other questions.
Bitte.
My question is about your step one.
Yes.
When I first started my business, I found it very hard to sell it to myself because it wasn't how I wanted it to be at the end. I was in the beginning.
Yeah.
And because of that, I found it hard to sell to others. And I think a lot of people that start businesses have that feeling as well.
I agree.
Do you have any stories about that or any tips?
Yeah, that's a beautiful question to ask. Thank you so much. So when life is messy, and new businesses, startups are particularly messy. it's not the way you want it to be. You have a vision for what the company will be in 20 years, but right now it's not that. It's just you in your pajamas, you know, and a website that's not loading and a logo that's ugly, right? I mean, that's the reality. Well, again, this is something I don't like either, but my tip and what I've learned over the years is to get comfortable with that messiness. You know, and really ask yourself important questions. Why am I doing this business? What is the value I can create for others? Right? A lot of times small businesses that try to sell to large ones come to me and go, but we are so tiny, they can do whatever they want with us. I'm like, no, there's a reason why they're at the table with you. There's a reason they're talking to you. You bring something of value. Your being small is actually powerful. It means you know more about this. You're going to act faster. You're going to give them better support, better service. There's a lot of ways to look at the messiness as a benefit. You're going to have less bureaucracy. You're going to give people a better service. You're going to make their lives better. Whatever the reason was that made you passionate to start, you need to zero in on what matters, which is, do I provide value to people? And ignore all the things that are not perfect. Because perfection is also just it's the desire to be safe. It's the desire to have comfort. It's the desire to look professional. It's the desire to be liked. Nobody will say my website is ugly. So I'm going to wait till my website is perfect before I do something. You need to fight that. And if the first version of what you do isn't embarrassing, you launch too late. Right? That's really it. Thank you.
Dankeschön. Bisschen Zeit haben wir noch für eine weitere Frage. Gibt's Fragen?
Somebody in the middle?
Ja, genau. Machen wir so mit der Mitte.
Hey Sally,
Hey.
how do you think? How would you manage in a company that everyone feels responsible for selling?
Yeah, that's a great question. How do you make everybody in the company, everybody in the team feel responsible for selling? Well, first of all, you need to lead by example. So you need to show that you truly care about selling. Not just care about others caring about it, but that you do it yourself. You need to tell people and educate them. You need to sell them on the idea. You can't just tell them, hey, sales is important, and then everybody acts differently. You need to sell them on the idea, why do we all need to have ownership in this? Why will this make the business a better business? Give you a better career, make your salary more stable and secure. You need to pitch it to people again and again and again. And then you need to highlight the behavior you like. So if there's somebody on your team that is selling particularly and takes a lot of ownership, although they are not a salesperson, you need to praise that. You need to give that person a bonus. You need to highlight that. Highlight the behavior you want other people to replicate and reward it. If you do all these things, if you lead by example and you do it yourself, if you sell people on the idea again and again and again, and if you highlight the people that are already doing it, you have a shot. All right, thank you so much, everybody.
Steli Efti!
I'll see you all at the after party.